What if the shadows of the Chase Center offseason hide not silence, but a whispering storm about to shake the very foundations of Dub Nation's next chapter? Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report, where raw truths collide with splash era. Passion. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so your heart never misses a beat. The Golden State Warriors may not have flooded the headlines with blockbuster signings just yet, but beneath the surface, a subtle, strategic chess match is unfolding that could redefine their bench and maybe, just maybe, their entire season. According to insider Brett Siegel, Golden State's front office is quietly circling two guards who have flown under the radar but could prove invaluable puzzle pieces. Seth Curry, who's not just Stephen Curry's younger brother but a sniper, whose efficient shooting could be exactly what this bench, often starved for reliable range when Steph is on the sidelines desperately, needs to stoke that spark on offense. Seth, now 34 and unlikely to return to the Hornets, showcased his vaulting finesse last season with a lethal 47.8% field goal percentage and a breathtaking 45.6% clip from beyond the arc, albeit on limited minutes. His presence represents more than just family reunion storyline. It's an infusion of steady, spatula-smooth shooting that could prevent the Warriors' offense from stalling when the big names rest. Imagine the locker room vitality with both Currys roaming the court, connecting on invisible wires only brothers could command, and a fan base re-energizing around this homegrown duo whose cumulative gravity pulls opponents into an ever-tightening vortex of splash and movement. Yet in the shadow of this sharp-shooting steadiness lurks a more unpredictable, shadowy figure, Ben Simmons. Yes, the Ben Simmons, the enigmatic former No. 1 overall pick whose trajectory has been tangled with injury setbacks, mental health battles, and a very public fall from all-star grace. Now 28, reportedly healthy, and willing to embrace a minimum contract for the right environment, Simmons is reportedly on Golden State's radar as a sort of Draymond Greenlight enforcer, offering defensive versatility, playmaking, and an almost prophetic court vision that fits seamlessly within Steve Kerr's motion offense. Despite last year's modest averages of 5.0 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 5.6 assists during brief stints with Brooklyn and the Clippers, the Warriors are betting on Simmons' ability to rehabilitate his career by shedding scoring expectations and doubling down on defense, rebounds, and assists, a triad of skills that can turn chaos into order in a system built around quick decisions and unselfish ball movement. And in many ways, Golden State may be one of the only environments where Simmons' unique profile could thrive, a place where shooting isn't the burden he must carry, but simply one lane in a wide-open freeway of collective execution. Kerr's system doesn't demand that Simmons become a scoring threat. It demands that he read, react, defend, and move the ball. And if he can do that consistently, he might quietly become one of the most impactful bench additions in the Western Conference. But here's the rub: Golden State's salary cap is tight, hemmed in by luxury tax thresholds and the daunting first apron, leaving Caesars little room to throw gold coins around in free agency. That's why both Seth and Simmons are tantalizing low-risk, high-upside targets on minimum deals, a delicate balancing act between financial prudence and the urgent need to fortify a bench that floundered too often during critical stretches last season. And as if the intrigue wasn't enough, there's a developing subplot with Jonathan Kuminga, a young star expected imminently to re-sign only to be potentially flipped in a February trade, a move whispered to be the prelude to a second wave of roster recalibrations. Those whispers also include a near-handshake agreement with veteran Al Horford, a stabilizing force whose reported deal awaits the green light post-Kuminga signing, promising that this off-season saga is far from over. And what makes all of this even more fascinating is the symbolism behind it. Seth represents familiarity, chemistry, and efficiency, a reliable weapon that seamlessly blends into the team's identity. Simmons, meanwhile, is the wild card, the risky reinvention project who, if handled properly, could become a difference maker in the trenches. Combine those with Horford's veteran savvy and Kuminga's still unrealized ceiling, and suddenly, the Warriors aren't just patching holes, they're layering experience, explosiveness, and balance into a roster that was exposed last year for lacking all three. And beyond the hardwood, you feel the emotional charge humming through Dub Nation. Because this isn't just about who wears the jersey next year. It's about what kind of story we're about to tell. Is this the beginning of a redemption arc? A second wave that honors the old guard while breathing life into a new generation? Or is this a desperate reshuffling? A scramble for chemistry in a league that's evolving faster than most dynasties can adapt? Remember, the Warriors are not just trying to win. They're trying to win their way. They don't build around pure talent alone. They build around ethos, around IQ, selflessness, flow. Which is why Seth's return could feel like fate, and Simmons' arrival could be the ultimate test of belief over reputation. Add Horford to the mix, a player who's calm under pressure, switchable defense, and elite spacing fit Kerr's blueprint perfectly, and this trio of moves becomes more than just budget signings. It becomes a thesis statement that Golden State isn't chasing stars, they're engineering cohesion. They're choosing substance over spectacle. They're betting that the right fit can still beat raw firepower in a league obsessed with names. But will it be enough? The West is deeper than ever. Denver remains a machine. Dallas has youth and fire. The Lakers and Suns have top-heavy arsenals that, if healthy, can strike fear into anyone. The Thunder are growing, the Wolves are hungrier, and the Kings? They. Remember, which is why this offseason, though quiet on the surface, feels like the calm before a massive thunderclap. If Kuminga stays and flourishes, if Seth finds rhythm early, if Simmons defends like the All-NBA force he once was, if Horford anchors a small ball second unit, this team could become the most unpredictable, toughest out squad in the league. But if even one of those dominoes fails to fall right, the dream collapses quickly. So we ask again, could Seth Curry's precision shooting and Simmons' enigmatic defensive prowess be the silent catalyst that revived Dub Nation's hungering? Dynasty, or are they gambles masked as safe bets in a league hungry for super teams and star power? Could these maneuvers eclipse even the seismic shifts that came with Durant's arrival and departure, rewriting the Warriors' narrative for a new era? Or is this all just noise, another illusion to distract from a fading torch, a dynasty in twilight clinging to the last flickers of brilliance before nightfall? As a lifelong Dub Nation believer, my pulse is racing just writing this, imagining the echoes of We Believe grit intertwined with the old Splash Dynasty's glories now morphing before our eyes. But is this the spark that reignites our dynasty, or the crack that fractures our legacy for good? Drop your unfiltered takes in the comments. I'll be right there, heart in hand. Because if the storm is really coming, I want to face it with you, Dub Nation. Shoulder to shoulder, voice to voice. Let's find out together what this next chapter holds. If you're feeling that electric jolt like your lungs just fill with that sharp Bay Breeze before a game-winning three, then hit me in the comments with how damn ready you are for this next dynastic chapter to either explode or implode. Because, holy hell, this offseason just put us on the razor's edge of Warriors history. Now, pick it up where the talk turned to Seth Curry quietly stalking the edges of Chase Center and the wild card that is Ben Simmons. Think about the external calm that cloaks the city right now, like fog before a tidal wave. Nobody's talking loud, but every insider whisper feels like a secret handshake, an encoded message meant for only the loyal. Seth is the perfect ghost story. He's not flashy like Steph nor brash like Wiggins, but his shot slices through defenses silently and surely. Imagine him drifting between Kevin Looney's rebounding chaos and Jordan Poole's youthful fire, neoclassic addition whose reputation for missing headlines might just be the greatest misdirection Kerr's master plan ever pulled. But remember, this isn't just about splashy three-pointers or family resemblances. It's about the transformative power when benchmates elevate the game without demanding the ball. Seth's efficiency could quiet the loudest enemies of this team, those dreadful cold spells when the rotation falters, when the rim closes right after Steph checks out for breath, when every possession tightens like a noose. And that's just the surface. Enter Ben Simmons, the wild card, the man who walked through a hellstorm made for weaker men, whose name alone divides entire fan bases and analysts like tectonic plates. To see him rumored near the Warriors isn't just news. It's like watching a prodigal son with a rebirth arc that reads like Steve Kerr's dream roster trope. Unselfish, defensive pass-first genius that could mask vulnerabilities like none before. Think about how Draymond has exhausted himself leading every charge, how Pascal's absence stretched him thin, and how Ben, if healthy, focused, and willing, could morph into a chess piece with so many moves that opponents don't just have. To game plan, they have to guess. For a front office hemming in every dollar, playing the luxury tax like a maestro handles dissonance, Seth and Simmons are not just possibilities. They're necessities painted with the stroke of economic genius and strategic desperation. If the Warriors pull these threads together, the bench goes from a question mark to a weapon one that can hold leads, accelerate offense, and snuff defensive runs before they start. But there's an inevitable shadow twisting behind these whispers. Jonathan Kuminga, dubbed the future star, but perhaps also the most dangerous chess piece in this puzzle of patience and payoff. The murmurs of a potential February trade send a confusing shiver through the fan base. Do you cling to this raw athletic dynamo, or gamble on the present with veterans like Al Horford ready to remind us that championship experience is as vital as the shot clock? Kuminga, who exploded with raw flashes but hasn't quite settled into his role, now faces an uncertain fate. Will he be the franchise cornerstone or the transaction that recalibrates our path when the playoffs come knocking? And Horford's steady soul, the old guard whisperer, could be exactly what Kerr needs to quell any locker room unrest brought by these seismic shifts. Just picture the scenarios. A Seth Curry pumping the clip on threes alongside Steph, a Ben. Simmons locking down perimeter and initiating offense like a second Dre. And Horford's calming presence bridging the gap between old dynasty wisdom and new era hunger. But holy, let's stare this truth in the face. What if this is all smoke and mirrors? What if the front office, wrapped in a web of cap constraints and media skepticism, is bluffing when they're betting on resurrection stories and fraternal sharpshooting? What if the pressure on Steph, who's carried this team through so many crucibles, gets heavier with every whisper of change and new era? Remember the 2019 finals, the heartbreak, the injuries, the way the league caught up this isn't just a rebuild. It's the exact opposite. It's a survival drama where every move counts twofold, where the chemistry boils not just on the court, but in boardrooms and breakfast tables and gym sessions nobody else sees. Is Kerr's genius enough without Clay firing on all cylinders? Can Draymond's voice still be the rallying roar when a rookie like Moody or a returning Kuminga stakes claim to minutes? And where does Andrew Wiggins fit in this puzzle that's seemingly splitting into factions of hustle, shoot, and defense? It's a powder keg, and even Steph's patented mid-range fadeaways can't guarantee this won't blow up in our faces. And do not forget, the weight of legacy hangs thick in them lay. California air. This is Steph Curry's season to etch himself not just as the greatest warrior, but as the immortal face of basketball's evolution, or he fades, obscured by new stars and new narratives chasing their own legends. But that's the magic and agony of being a Warriors fan, living at the junction where history clashes with destiny every single day. Could Seth and Ben be the silent catalysts who pull us back from the brink, who stitch together a wounded bench and fractured roster into a silky, unpredictable unit that plays chess while others are tossing checkers? Could Kuminga's trade tip the scales and unlock another title run, or does losing him implode the fragile balance we've barely managed to hold? As someone who's worn blue and gold threads through every parade, every gut-wrenching injury, every buzzer beater that stopped time, I feel the tremors of something vast, undefined, and utterly electric pulsing beneath this summer's surface. This isn't the quiet off-season we hoped for. It's the battlefield before an unseen war, a nexus where hope and uncertainty duel beneath the glare of millions of doubting eyes. And if you think this is just another season, you're asleep. At the wheel, this might be the great reckoning. So now I'm throwing down the gauntlet to Dub Nation. Drop your Roys. Most unfiltered takes below tell me what you think of Seth circling back home, Ben stepping into the spotlight, and that Kuminga ultimatum looming like a guillotine. Are we building the dynasty's second win or burning the last embers of a glory we thought never would fade? I'll be in the trenches with you, keyboards blazing, dissecting every whisper, every rumor, and every heartbeat, because for us, this isn't just basketball. It's our soul, our family, our fight. Let's get it.